Welcome to Oa. This planet has been our home for countless millennia. Since time immemorial, the Green Lantern Corps has served as the keepers of peace, order, and justice throughout the universe. To be chosen to join its ranks is the highest of honors and the greatest of responsibilities.
Yeah, that part I heard about.
We're going to fly now.
Fly?
Absolutely.
All right. I can do that.
Join me.
Hi, he's Matt, I'm Nat, we got your geek news right here.
And today we are talking about something near and dear to my heart, the Green Lantern. Because honestly, as a comic book reader, these characters are job options. Starts out with Robin. When you're young, at any point Batman could rescue you, you're ready to be the boy wonder. Then you get older and you think, I could be Batman. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of time until I turn myself into the perfect ninja. But then eventually you realize you're 20, you're not the perfect ninja. This is your only hope, this little emerald ring. Because if your willpower's good enough, you can still be in the Justice League. Well, you know, in the 90s when Joel Schumacher just totally cocked up Batman for me, Green Lantern was there to rescue me, to console me about how bad Batman had become.
Well, unfortunately, this movie you have retitled to Green Lantern, so clearly it did not do the job that you were hoping it would do.
The only thing worse than this movie being terrible is this movie being mediocre. That's what it is.
And that's exactly what it was. You're absolutely right. You know, based on the trailers, it looked fantastic, I thought. The visuals were stunning in terms of like the 3D factor. And then watching the movie, you're right, it was absolutely mediocre. Starting with Ryan Reynolds, let's say. I mean, I love the guy. I love the guy. But he's only
miscast.
Ever Ryan Reynolds. And was Ryan
miscast.
Reynolds really the best person to play Hal Jordan is the question I'm asking you, Matt.
No. You know what? We should not be seeing our first Ryan Reynolds starring Green Lantern movie. We should be seeing our third or fourth Ryan Reynolds starring Flash movie. He's the Flash. That quick-talking, snippy, snide, that is the Flash. And who's Green Lantern? John Hamm.
Yaha.
Bradley Cooper. Nathan Fillion. These are classic 60s style man's man. And Fillion, interestingly enough, Captain Tight Pants, was Hal Jordan in the most recent Emerald Knights Green Lantern animated film, and it was really good. I'd hazard to say it's actually better than this one in a lot of ways. But absolutely, as miscast as Ryan Reynolds is, with his witty, Flash, Deadpool sort of way of delivering...
He's funny!
He was the highlight of the movie, right behind, I'd say, Mark Strong's picture-perfect Sinestro.
Well, there you go. So Sinestro, I mean, Mark Strong, again, did a great job. I feel like he also kind of always plays a similar type of character, which is this, like, kind of dark, brooding, incredibly intelligent, but questionable kind of guy. Which is pretty much what he was at Sinestro, which is great, and... He looked fantastic. Well, that's the thing. They all looked fantastic. Ryan Reynolds What?
Abin Sur looked terrible. If the Sinestro makeup was so good, why the hell was Abin Sur a plastic doll that could speak? Like, his face was terrible. It was like there were two different makeup departments.
You mean it wasn't
One of them was really talented.
It didn't break your heart when Green Lantern or Hal Jordan sees him for the first time in that spaceship?
No. Not at all. It felt like there were two different departments doing the makeup, one of them good and one of them terrible, and it looked like there were two different departments doing the CGI. Because honestly, the close-up on the Guardian's lips, I've seen better CG on Doctor Who. And I'm sorry, we are post-Avatar. Is there a non-compete that those guys have? Because honestly, no one has gotten lips right before or since. Avatar's the only one who can get... Robo-Bridges in Tron was terrible, Dr. Manhattan is terrible, and the Guardian's lips were awful.
Having said all that, the costume he was wearing was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. Now, what did we hear? He was, near naked and was just motion capture?
Yeah, like there were amazing visuals in this. I had never seen anything like a living, breathing costume.
Yeah, the costume was so organic.
Amazing.
Yeah, strangely enough, it was beautiful. And then the other characters that were on Oa, I thought were very well done, the CG ones. So Tamaray and Kilowog.
Yeah.
There we go.
Those were
They
awesome.
were awesome. And then when you see his training, I thought that was super cool.
You know, it was neat to see a little bit of his training. I would have loved to have seen Sinestro training Hal Jordan on Earth, like we should have seen. There are a lot of things that we should have seen. For a story, honestly, that was doing such a good job of being rooted in the comics, they really lost a couple of things. Like, you know, the mask was just not the right mask. It just shaped wrong, like little things.
Yeah,
that didn't
I
work
mean, like
for
little
me.
details like masks, I feel like are things that you always find kind of annoying in these kind
Yeah.
of movies. So. But I will say that is maybe like the one moment I actually liked Blake Lively, because the entire time I'm like, Blake Lively, she's fine, whatever. But when she actually calls it out, when she's looking at him and he's putting on this fake superhero voice, and then she's just like, well, you think I wouldn't recognize you just because I can, you know, I don't see your cheekbones? Are you kidding me? Like, what are we talking about here? You know, like, we grew up together, Hal, and from that point on, I was
really,
like, oh, Blake,
it
that was
simultaneously
funny. Writers, you were funny.
It simultaneously reminds us how retarded Christian Bale's Bat voice is, and how ridiculous it is that a pair of spectacles will make Lois Lane not tell the difference between Superman and Clark Kent.
Hands down, that is the most
Terrible.
ridiculous. Ridiculous disguise, I feel like.
Now, that was really fun. I enjoyed that scene. And a lot of the humor was thanks to Ryan.
Yeah.
But Ryan was a lot of the reason this film had no tone. There was no specific tone. Spider-Man is a light-hearted, lesson-learning sort of movie. Batman is a brooding, serious sort of movie. Superman is an uplifting, inspiring sort of movie, as long as Bryan Singer's not directing it. And the Hulk is a tortured, hunted kind of movie. This movie cannot decide its tone, and that is a huge reason it suffers.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, what's the
that and
story of
structure.
what's the story? What should have what tone should it have had? There we go. I spit it out there. What should the tone have been?
Sheer willpower. There should have been
How,
no point in the
how
film
is that a
where
tone
Hal
for a
Jordan.
movie? Sheer willpower.
Consistency.
Here's
is really
what
it comes down to.
I think what would have been good in this case would have been seeing actual struggle and actual growth, showing him. Like, really showing great examples of him struggling and, oh, is he going to make it? Like, oh my god, he might die. And then the willpower pulling him through. And I think that's what was lacking in the end of this movie, for myself at least. Like, there were some, again, epic factors in the end. Fighting Hector and Parallax, the main factor there. And I was just like,
You know, it never felt like he was in danger
No!
during the entire fight. And I've got to
Not at
say,
all.
it bothered the hell out of me that Hector could even operate the ring. There's a moment when the Green Arrow gets his hand on Hal Jordan's ring, and it takes every fiber of his being in the comics to just fire one little green arrow out of it, and he collapses into a coma. Hector shouldn't have been able to operate the ring.
Yeah, it
That
was
bugged me a
strange
lot.
that he was able to put it on and operate it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, the movie was fun, but the ending there, the battle, it wasn't deserving. Like, there was no struggle.
There were no
feel.
stakes.
Yeah,
You're
there
absolutely
were no
right.
Stakes.
There were no stakes. And you know, for a movie that did a really good job of showing us Oa picture perfect, they missed one really big thing. The ring. The ring talks to Hal Jordan. It tells him the ring capacity. The fact that there was one moment in the film that it needed to be recharged was horrible. You need to have the ring tell you ring capacity, 40%. Ring capacity, 20%. If there was a moment when he was dragging Parallax in towards the sun and it was saying, ring capacity, 10, 9, 8, and then he throws him into the sun, 4, 3, 2, and then it dies.
the ticking time bomb, yeah, for sure.
That would have done it. It wouldn't have just been, and now Hal Jordan's gonna take a nap in space. Like, it just looked like he fell asleep in space. If we knew that his ring had died, if he gasped for air, and then reinforcements came in, that would have given us stakes. I don't know who out of the 4 writers is responsible for this movie not having a climax, but my god.
I don't
how
know.
Embarrassing.
I don't know, but you're right. I guess the big question is, did this movie really portray willpower in the best way that it could, considering the character was supposed to be all about willpower?
No, and that's the tone of the movie. The tone of the movie should have been will. And there's no point at all when Hal Jordan does not have will. And him faltering in the middle of the film bothered me a lot. I mean, there were some changes in this movie that I liked.
Like?
I really liked Parallax in this movie.
Okay.
If you're familiar with the comic books where a fish and a mosquito get to be the avatars for will and fear, respectively, it's just kind of lame.
Okay.
This took a little bit of the Rogue Guardian angle from Blackest Night storyline with Scar. I liked that a lot.
That was
there were
cool
some
mythos.
cool elements.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought there were a few points when characters weren't built up enough.
Right.
Hector's character all of a sudden was dragged to meet an alien before we cared enough about him really being a
the
foil.
whole movie felt like a child's story. That was my problem with it. It was visually fun, but the story lacked depth. It lacked, it lacked depth. It lacked any kind of complexity. It lacked stakes. It lacked tone. Apparently, it felt like a child's movie. It lacked will.
It lacked willpower. It lacked the will to be good.
It lacked the will to be good. Exactly.
It had the will to make a checkbox of things geeks would want to see.
Totally.
And to check each one of those things off. We want to see Oa. We want to see a ring. We want to see Abin Sur. We want to see with Sinestro. We want to see the yellow ring. All these things, but none of them were done with any love. None of them were done with any real care.
Right.
And they felt mediocre as a result. But having said that, I am looking forward to a sequel. I would love to see one that is not constrained by Earth. That is not constrained, because those were the parts that really sucked. This story got really boring when you were looking at Tim playing far too young a man to be Sarsgaard's father. Like, certain things were just, there was just too much stuff wrong with Earth. You know, there was just some stuff on Earth that bugged me.
The post-credit scene there, I mean, for those of you who haven't seen yet, apologies, spoiler, in case everything else wasn't a spoiler yet. But, the part where you see Sinestro putting on that Ring of Fear, you think that's going to lead to something good? Because I saw that scene and thought, oh, Sinestro, really? Like, really? After the noob taught you the lesson of fight for willpower, don't give in to fear, then you put on the fear ring? What?
Yeah, it was totally unmotivated. The motivation in the comics for Sinestro to have that yellow ring is amazing, and there was none of it in this. None of it. The
maybe
Guardians
the movie
forging
would...
the yellow ring bothered me. So much about that bothered me. But I'm hoping in the next film we get Sinestro being not a straight-up villain, but justifying fear as a valid power source. Because if we get to see what his sector of space looks like, it's very interesting. If you're not familiar with the comics, I don't want to ruin Green Lantern 2. Because honestly, Warner Brothers has already greenlit it. And if this thing makes anything resembling money, it was greenlit before the first one even came out.
Well, okay.
But if this one makes enough money, the second one is going to happen.
Okay.
And fingers crossed that the second one is good and has some heart. Because this one was missing a lot of will. Now, next up, we're going to have Transformers, which is very exciting because Michael Bay is trying to work in 3 dimensions, which means he'll have to edit slower.
Oh,
I'm kind of excited.
And there's no Megan Fox.
Yeah, no Megan Fox, which is weird. Very weird. But, hopefully it's still worth watching. Anyway, guys, we will see you for Transformers, and we hope you enjoyed the review.
Yeah. Bye.
We have never been defeated. Will we be defeated now? It was for this moment that we were created. But I don't need to tell you your duty. I don't need to tell you who we are.